Okay, we're back at it on problem 8-8. If you're smart, you save a template or save your drawing. I'm not smart, so I've got to go through this again. Remember, we're going to make a layer called fold lines. Kidding that, we're going to make a layer called fold lines and call it yellow. Click on that. FOLD lines, we're going to make that yellow. And we're going to make it a continuous line type. Remember, LT scale is going to come up to bite you pretty soon. So LT scale is an important variable as well. Fold lines and then projection lines. Projection lines, we're going to make something very light on the page for our eye. Eventually develop things like this. I'm going to turn on the object layer. I've got everything set to go. I'm going to erase that out. I'm going to go ahead with the box bigger than the thing I'm going to draw. Get it first. Sorry, remember that box is going to not be so important a little bit. So we're going to drop that view box. I'm just making at 10, 10. In this case, I'm not worrying about that. I'm going to explode it. Offset, maybe 0.5 this time. Just to get that basic. Fillet radius 0. Learning that I can double click on something and change the properties. Lots of different ways to do this stuff, but right click is going to, we want that to be on layer object. Alright, so I'm going to do the same thing where right click properties is going to get you more prepared to go in other programs, however. Right click, we're all about properties. We're going to draft that front view. What I'm going to do with this is then show some of the group how you could take some of your stuff, your hand sketches, and scan it in eventually and bring it into Inventor. So I'm going to go ahead and offset 8. I'm going to draft that outside bottom piece, fillet radius 0. Establishing that kind of base outside. Remember, the only things that count that can be read true to scale are things that are parallel to the 3 major isometric lines. So I've got 1, 2, 3 there. I'm going to offset 3 in and 3 in here, and then the very top is 6. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Offset 6. Trim out. Remember again, sometimes you just want to click that. Now F for fence. Fence goes across them, all your things you want to trim. That makes it relatively nicely there. You know that middle part is not there, but offset 1. Those are the 2 going on there, and then it's offset 1 off of here, offset 1. Your eye will start to get confused in a little bit, but if you do a line from the shift right click from the intersection of that, shift right click to the intersection of this. Remember, because we were doing offsets, we were okay, but the fact is that you could just, this is actually a symmetrical piece, so learning to do a center line in there is a great idea, but instead I'm going to learn to left click, spacebar, 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 C for copy, B for base point. Base point's going to be the midpoint. I'll go ahead and change each of these things. You can just grab up here and change the layer. Lots of different ways to change the layer. When we're looking at this, then we can trim out. If you're looking from that, basically this piece here, will get trimmed. That piece goes across here. I don't believe this is here anymore. I'm going to erase this here, and even that piece there is not there. So we're going to trim here. Remembering, of course, we didn't necessarily need to do both sides of this, but we're just going to trim. That line was a construction line. That's something like that. Of course, It looks something like this at that level, but we still have offset 1, offset 2, offset 1 this way, offset 2, fillet radius 0. Trim, screw that, and we've got essentially something that looks like that. What we'll do next is do the projection lines. This time I'm going to take a little bit more leeway and kind of do my projection lines and all that not on time, so we can show you how to make the blocks here in the end. So just take a pause, and when you come back I will have projected my lines up and over, and I'll just get to the point of doing the reverse pool shot. I'm going to hit a pause here and offset each of those 2 and then 2 more. Alright, I resume here so I can grab across each of these, right click, draw order, send to back. That's probably the most important thing you're going to learn out of this process. Most transferable, particularly with drawings. I'm going to offset now 4. Right. I am going to do, can do all kinds of things. You can extend, screw that, extend this all the way out to there and there, to there and there. You can kind of, if you want, you can left click space bar, C for copy to the end point there. Same thing there. You can left click space bar, C for copy to the end point. You're trying to more or less habituate a lot of the things you've learned up till now so they start to transfer into 2D and 3D. Alright. I'm going to pause here, get my other X lines put out, that top drafted, and then we can continue. Trying to compress this, I drafted this all up here with the realization that there's a couple of things we're going to have to break here, but we're going to go ahead and first do our trim so you can get used to this command. Trim, grab your object, and then F for fence. Take your fence all the way across. Grabs all those things, and then you can left click space bar, C for copy 90, and then learn to left click space bar, C for copy to the end point of that, to the end point of that, and to the end point of that. And there you'll see in this grid emerge what you need. I want to show, however, how great, of course, break is. As usual, as long as your snaps are not on. If your snaps are running, break will not work as good as it is here. As I break each of these, I can extend, screw that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There is a break at. And then, of course, these, 1, 2, 3, 4 should be on the hidden layer because they are not seen from above. And the last thing you see is the LT scale is going to be something. What I'm going to do is going to project this other side, stop to show you how to make blocks, and then that's something we'll take into Inventor for those who've kind of had orthographic projection in other classes. Alright, I'm going to resuming here now and to show you one time you don't make a block with things on layer 0, and that's when you're going to use blocks to take them out to another program. So I'm going to show you the -B command. We're going to call the one front. We're going to make it that endpoint there. We're going to grab our window across from here to here. That went out. I can say oops, great command. I can do -B for block, top, insertion base point. I'm going to make it the end of this. Grab my objects, say oops, and then -B for block, side, intersection of that, window across here, oops. Great commands. Now you're set to go. If you remember, those blocks are made. We're going to go ahead and I'll just show you then the real quick way, not that you really want to do this. If you go over here, you can go into there, zoom, extents, and you see how the LT scale starts to throw you off there. But I can go ahead and do 1 to 2, see what that looks like, or 2 to 1, or 1 to 4. Right, these different things. And if you click in here, it's this LT scale that's going to throw you up. LT scale. And if you maybe make it 10 there, LT scale, maybe it's going to be 0.2. This is those X lines really start to throw you, so this concept of going into your layer here and getting everything set before you go out to here is an important thing. Projection lines we will freeze, and all of a sudden things start to look a little bit better. We'll save that, plot it, and remember we won't skip that last step, but we have blocks that we can bring into Inventor. Thanks for listening.